Welcome back to another episode of Door to Deceit. I'm your host, Ash, and I'm so happy you're here. Thank y'all so much for tuning in and for supporting, and I hope you've enjoyed your week. Today's episode, baby, it pissed me right on off. So let's get into it. Our story begins in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Sade Robinson was just 19 years old. She was a beautiful girl and a true baddie. I've seen the pics. Sis really had it going on for herself. She was a college student, ambitious, full of plans, and loved so deeply by her family and friends. They described her as kind, fun-loving, and ambitious. She loved hanging out with her friends and trying new things, chasing after her goals. And at the time of her death, she was studying criminal justice, which, period, so did I. And she was hoping to one day work in law enforcement, which, girl, I was not. But, it was a career path for her that was driven by her natural sense of justice and her desire to help other people. She wasn't just a name in a headline. She was someone's daughter, someone's best friend, someone with dreams that she sadly would never get the chance to unfold. It's April 1st, 2024, and Sade is lit up. She has a first link with a new guy, and she'd been chatting with this man for a while now, for a little bit, just chit-chatting, whatever. And that night, they had a date at the Twisted Fisherman. It's a seafood restaurant. It's along the river. Now, this man is 33 years old. So as a woman who is about to turn 32 in less than 5 days, it's real weird to me. It's real fucking weird to me because even in my 20s, I wouldn't have dared. Because it's just, personally, I'm just gonna, put it out there. I know people say, oh, it's legal. It's legal. Girl, that don't mean you should do it. Me personally, I am disgusted because the word teen is in her age and the word 30 starts his age. But I will digress. Now on to this date. His name's Maxwell. And he worked as a bartender. Now, this motherfucker is ugly, okay? Inside and out. I'm just gonna put it that he is fucking ugly. But he came from money. So, I don't know. Apparently, his dad owned a successful insurance business and a $3 million home. So, period. Love that for him, I guess. But he also had a criminal record. Not his dad. Maxwell. He had a slew of misdemeanors, basically, from disorderly conduct and drunk driving to domestic fucking violence. I don't play with DV. I feel like when people have that type of history, you're pretty much capable of anything. And I know that sounds a little far-fetched, but I haven't been wrong yet. Now, Maxwell's neighbors described him as unpredictable and uneasy to be around. And visibly, I can see why. Anyways, inside his home, investigators later found a basement set up with restraints and a sex sling. Now, I'm not saying that makes him a criminal. Let your freak flag fly. But bitch, a whole basement full of shit? What was that Kendrick was saying about them freaky ass men? Right. I digress. In Sade's final messages to her friends, she had some hope that the date was gonna go well. She was lighthearted. She told them she was excited. And for the record, everything was lighthearted and fun during the date. Surveillance footage captured them at the bar. They were sharing drinks and laughing, having easy conversation. The night, however, ended with Sade stepping into Maxwell's car. And unfortunately, that was the last time she was ever seen again. By the next morning, terror began to unfold. Someone walking along the bluff in Warnymont Park discovered something chilling: a severed leg. The toes were painted pink. Over the next several weeks, more of Sade's remains surfaced across Milwaukee County and beyond. A foot, a torso, an arm. Another arm washed ashore about 50 miles south in Waukegan, Illinois. Each discovery brought fresh anguish to her grieving family and the community watching the nightmare unfold. Just imagine, that sounds, oh my God, that sounds so horrific. Just waking up every day not knowing what body part is going to be discovered next, where, when. It's just, that is, wow. Meanwhile, at the Justice League, investigators found Sade's car, her 2020 Honda Civic. It was found on the road, totally burned out. Now, nearby surveillance footage captured a man, and it was later confirmed that it was Maxwell. He was leaving the car and he was boarding a bus. Now, inside of the car, authorities ended up finding charred up clothes and different belongings that were Sade's, obviously, it was her car, and they found fragments of her phone. Police didn't waste any time. They arrested Maxwell just 2 days later during a traffic stop. When investigators searched his home, like I said before, they did uncover his little freak-off basement. Prosecutors later described this as a sex dungeon. They found saws and plastic tarp covering surfaces. Like, I hope they are being dramatic in describing it this way, but like in my brain, I'm just seeing Dexter's version of like Christian Grey's Red Room of Pain. And it's just too much. Also, did he kill her there? And there was dismemberment, so were any of those saws used? Was there any blood or DNA of Sade's found? Because I know that they did find blood there, but it was not hers. And actually, that brings up another question. That blood, was that related to any missing people? Because girl, if this man is just a fucking murderer, I don't know, I just feel like we should investigate a little bit further. And then another thing, court filings indicate a confidential informant said that Maxwell showed them his setup a month prior to the murder and even described his dismemberment plans. So my question is, why was the informant not at the very least beat on the bottoms of their motherfucking feet for not reporting that sinister ass crime? I get that they got a deal to be an informant, but at this point, girl, we got him, and if I'm the lead detective, bitch, now we got you. Because it's one thing, still a very strange thing, but it's one thing for a friend to tell you some stuff like this and you think it's a joke, but for you to actually be shown like where they're gonna do it and they tell you what they plan to do, at what point, baby, at what point is your elevator going to go all the way up so that you can get out of it and call the police? Your brain is not working. So many questions and just never enough answers every single time. Either way, Maxwell was charged with first-degree intentional homicide, mutilating a corpse, arson, and hiding a corpse, which that charge was actually later dropped because it overlapped with the mutilation charge. So in May of 2025, his trial began. Over weeks of testimony, jurors heard the painstaking evidence gathered by investigators, from cell phone data to surveillance footage, and then of course the gruesome discoveries of Sade's remains. They also heard from Sade's family, who had to sit through every fucking detail, and I personally could not imagine. That would be my own personal hell. If any of you have ever seen the video footage or clip or whatever you want to call it of the mom whose, I think, daughter or son got killed by this man, and she came up in a courtroom and just yeah, that's the type of time that I would be on. So personally, I couldn't sit there. My heart just breaks for her family. Honestly, she's just so young. Sade's death was obviously ruled a homicide, but her exact cause of death remains a mystery still. According to the assistant medical examiner, Dr. Lauren Decker, the fragmented and water-exposed condition of Sade's remains made it impossible to pinpoint how she died. She was dismembered after her death, most likely with a sharp instrument like a knife. I would assume they would be able to tell, obviously, if it was one of them damn saws in that basement. But I just find it kind of hard to believe that someone could be dismembered with a knife. Maybe like a hunting knife, I guess? I don't know. That sounds a little far-fetched to me, I'm not gonna lie. But luckily, there was no visible trauma suggesting that she was dismembered while she was alive. So thank God for that. However, because key body parts like her head and her neck were never recovered, it's not possible to determine if she was like strangled or suffocated or something like that, or if she suffered any other specific cause of death. So they still just don't know, which I don't know, that feels torturous as well. It took the jury less than an hour to reach a verdict, and by June, his ass was guilty on all counts. The judge handed down the maximum punishment: life in prison without parole. Now, I don't know if Miss Milwaukee or Wisconsin, because I think that's where he's housed at, I don't know if they don't have the death penalty, but baby, y'all should look into getting her back. Y'all really should look into getting her back. I think that she does have some very useful and vital points, and we should hear her out. Either way, the judge dismissed Maxwell's claim that he was framed, which, girl, anyway, or that some unknown man had killed Sade. His appeals for mercy thankfully fell flat, and he is now sitting hopefully uncomfortably on a dick, at Dodge Correctional Institution in Waupun, Wisconsin. And I really genuinely hope it's for the rest of his ugly little life. For Sade's family, however, the courtroom was not the end. Even in the earliest days after her murder, her family wasn't only searching for her killer, they were searching for accountability and justice. Her family filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the bars where Sade had been seen that night. The claim was that they had overserved an underage woman who never should have been drinking to begin with. If Sade had been intoxicated, then maybe she was more vulnerable, and that made her more easily to be preyed on. But when her toxicology report came back, the truth stunned everybody. There was no alcohol in her system, no drugs, nothing but caffeine. The lawsuit quietly collapsed after that, and her family dropped the case, and that was pretty much that. I don't know. It just makes it a little harder to sit with, I think, because when you're a woman and you're growing up, you're always told, watch your drink when you go out. You know, when you go out, make sure that you're keeping an eye on your surroundings. Make sure that you're with people that you can trust. You know, don't go out. Don't get too drunk. Don't get high. Don't get, like, we have such a long list of things that we can and cannot do as women, or should not do. And there she was. She wasn't drunk. She wasn't high. She was clear-headed and simply out on her first date with a man she barely knew. She did everything, quote unquote, right, and she still didn't make it home. At sentencing, her father, Carlos Robinson, voiced his grief and rage. He said, "You deserve what you get. He deserves the punishment that he gave to my daughter. Everything that he did should be done to him. That's how I feel. That, to me, that's justice. I don't feel like he has the right to walk around and breathe air, eat breakfast, brush his teeth. He doesn't have that right. The moment he did what he did, he lost that any human, basic human right. No man should be allowed to live doing what he did." And I fucking agree. Cause girl, we're done. Back to the earth whence you came. Hopefully to fucking hell. Cause that is absolutely ridiculous. That girl didn't do nothing to him. But I digress because I'm getting upset. Her mother's words actually gave me chills, and it's a big reason why I got so angry. Obviously the case itself pissed me off, but her mom reminds me a lot of mine, and she said something that mine would probably say. She's a devout Christian, honey. Her mom said, "You weren't getting away with this one. You will be dealt with eternally, like I stated. But Your Honor, Judge, I'm asking that this demon be respectfully returned back to hell as soon as possible. That's what I'm requesting through the court. Please return him back to hell as soon as possible. No possibility of life without parole. The maximum. And this devil should not be given any more special millionaire privileges being held in certain populations. He needs to be, not he, but that devil needs to be placed in the population with the rest of the demons that harm and hurt individuals, the murderers, the serial killers, the felons. You are not on any special privileges. Your money is not going to protect you. My daughter had to cross your demonic path. You plotted and planned to kill, dismember, then you disrespectfully spread my daughter across Milwaukee like a piece of trash. How dare you?" And no, really, how dare he? Your old creep ass shouldn't have been trying to date a fucking 19-year-old anyway. But to then do this unspeakable stuff to her is just, God only knows the stuff he did that we didn't know as well. Lord, then to ask for mercy, to ask, the audacity of these murdering pieces of shit always is so sick to me. They always ask for shit that they would never give to their victims. It's so just... oh, the entitlement, the narcissism, the fucking just blow them up. I'm tired. Sade's younger sister, Adriana, was the first to speak at the sentencing, and she broke down as she confessed that trust, which is something most of us end up taking for granted, was broken for her forever. She said, "One of Sade's old teachers gave me a letter that she wrote to me for a school assignment when she was 15. She talked about some of her hardships, and she had so many, which is why it is especially hard to know that as soon as her hard work allowed her to escape many of them, her life was stolen. She said that she wants to be my role model and show me that anything is possible, that she wants to guide me through everything and be my support system. She said that even 5 years ago, she wanted to inspire me to be as independent as she was, and that she hoped she inspired me to do what I want to do in life. She said that everything she does is for me and she will do anything for me." I think this is the first case that I've ever done that made me cry, because I have a sister Oh my God, now I'm getting emotional. I have a sister, and I couldn't imagine myself having to give that speech about her. What a hole her loss must leave behind. And yet, in the aftermath of devastation, the community clung to ways of remembering Sade as she truly was and not how this monster tried to make her appear. Pink became her color, her painted toes from that first discovery turning into a symbol of hope. Murals were painted in her honor, and a foundation was created in her name. Friends and family spoke not of the horror, but of her light, her laughter, her potential, and her future that was stolen. Sade's story is more than a brutal crime. It's a reminder of how fragile life can be, how every moment we have should be cherished because life and people are unpredictable. It's also a warning. Get a weapon and know how to use it. Trust your instincts and turn your location on. Tell people where you're going. Privacy and secrecy and all that shit is not as important as being safe. But yeah, I'd love to hear what y'all think. Let me know on socials, Door to Deceit on everything. And I'm out of here. Thank y'all for listening. And I hope you're leaving having learned something. And if not, go back and listen again. I'll see y'all next time. And hey, do not forget to lock that door behind me. You never know what could come crawling in.